Good afternoon, Facebook group. Thank you for joining us here on the REI Nation Facebook group page. Thank you for joining us today. And we've got a great little program for you today. We'll get into it in just a minute. But on behalf of REI Nation and Premier Property Management Group, wanted to welcome everybody and again, give you guys a little update on where we're at today. We have a great guest on here that's in our WOW group, and I'll introduce him in just a second. And a couple of our great folks are on the call with us. Again, we just remind you that those of you that are in our group, we're approaching 5,000 members in the group. Our live videos are one of the most watched and sought after parts of the group that a lot of people tune in. This segment that we're doing will be up on the site about 30 minutes after we get done. Hopefully you find it educational today and enlightening on this gentleman's story and how we all came together and how his success has been. But again, we want to remind you that REI Nation is today manages over right at 6,500 properties, about $1.1 billion in single family homes for about 24 investors around the world. And today we have Mr. Brian Thusego on the call with us, and introduce him, and he'll talk in just a second. I also want to introduce Cyndy. Cyndy, say hello to our guest on here. Cyndy's in our customer service department, been with our company right at 11 years, serving our clients. She has about 300 or 400 of our clients in the WOW group that she handles on our weekly, monthly, daily calls, and sometimes. Ashley Claunch has been a portfolio advisor and with us for right at 12 years, has literally sold thousands of houses to our investors around the world. So they're both, I'm lucky to have both of them on here with me today to talk a little real estate. But the main attraction today is Brian Thusego. Brian, am I saying that last name right?
You got it correctly, yes.
I hope I am. Well, it's our pleasure to have you on today. It's our pleasure to have you as a client with our company. And so I'd just like to take a second and then maybe you tell us make a couple of opening remarks. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with us in real estate. And again, welcome, sir.
Oh, thanks. No, I appreciate you having me here. And, it's an honor to be here. I live in San Diego. I'm an area director of operations for a restaurant company, Cheesecake Factory. And I've lived in California for most of my adult life. And when I was young, I was in high school, and I met a friend of mine whose dad was in real estate. He had a full-time job, but he owned a bunch of property, and I saw how successful he was with that, and I saw how he worked full-time, but he had his properties, and it seemed like it was going really well for him, and he was able to retire early, and work his properties and be successful that way. And I thought, God, that's something that I want to do someday. But, fast forward a couple of decades, and I was able to save up enough capital to start investing in real estate. And I just started researching online different options. In California, it's expensive to invest in real estate, and probably not a lot of cash flow involved in investing in real estate, especially for a guy like me. And so I started looking out of state, and I ran into your company, REI Nation, at that time, Memphis Invest. And I started reading about it, researching, listening to some podcasts, some YouTube videos, and online, and reading the blogs that Chris has. And I'll be honest with you, I thought it was too good to be true. I thought, because one thing I was looking for was great customer service, because, without touting, and this is not a commercial for the company that I work for, but we really believe in great customer service in my company. And I really wanted to find a company that had an equal level of customer service and taking care of their people. And I wasn't sure if I was going to find that or not. And as I was researching and looking into Memphis Invest, and again, listening to Chris on videos, I thought, wow, this is too good to be true. I can't believe there's a company out there like this. So honestly, I stalked you for 2 years. I watched you, I watched the company, I read, I kept researching, I kept standing by. And then one day I said, you know what, this seems for real. Their level of customer service, their level of excellence, their commitment to excellence, it all seemed at the level that I was looking for. And it all seemed real. So I made the phone call. And since then, everyone I've talked to, everyone I've worked with, has really been as amazing as I thought they would be. And your company truly is amazing. And the level of customer service, the level of communication, the level that you take care of your properties, your staff, your clients, your tenants is just at such a high level. It just blows me away every day. And since then, I bought 6 properties. I bought them fairly quickly. I had saved up enough capital to do so. And everyone in the company has treated me superbly and at a very high level, and has really helped me along the way and really made my dream possible. So I feel in such great hands. And like I said, you've made my dream possible. So thank you to all of you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ashley and Cyndy. That's quite an intro, huh?
Very.
Brian, we've heard it many times that it's too good to be true. Back before COVID, these 2 ladies on here would travel with our team and myself and our family, and we'd go around to different cities, and we've been to San Diego several times. And we would talk on stage to 200 or 300 investors, and we always heard it's too good to be true. So I'd always have to get like 6 bar stools up on the stage and bring 6 of our investors up there to say, yeah, it sounds too good to be true, but they do it. And that was 6 or 7 years ago. And so our reputation, credibility, and integrity, as these ladies know, and all of our team knows, is the most important thing to us. And as Chris says many times, we are a customer service company first. That then happens to be in the real estate investment space. And so we saw an opportunity back a long time ago, because I'm a customer service person coming out of retail many, many years ago. And I wanted to be able to take that model and put it into here. And we thought it was important that when we first got into this, and as we researched property management companies, the biggest beef that investors had was they could never get a hold of anybody. They couldn't find out about it. They couldn't talk to anybody. They got put on hold, call back in 2 or 3 days, or never call back. So we took that model and we said, how can we make this better than this? And not only make it better, but become the best company in the country at turnkey real estate. And I may be a little out there in saying this. I don't think so, because we hear it from a lot of people, but I think we do a better job in this space than anybody in the country. But it all comes back to the core values that we have on our mission that we're trying to do. We want to give you, as an investor, an unbelievable experience, whether you own 1 property or 20 properties. Every client is the same. And our job is to do whatever it takes to make your experience with us to where hopefully at some point in time, we've earned the opportunity for you to talk to somebody else about us, because most of the referrals and most of our business comes from people that, like you, that have come in and had an unbelievable experience that you thought maybe was not true, wasn't going to really happen. But people like Ashley and Cyndy and the other 100 people that work for our company, they know the type of experience that we want our residents to have that rent houses, our vendors that work on our 200 rehabs that we have going on today, our team of employees that are the most important asset that we have, and certainly our investors like yourself, that without you, none of this happens. So we have to create an experience for all 4 groups of those people. And Ashley and Cyndy have heard me talk about it many, many times with our team members, that if we can make those 4 groups of people happy and have a great experience for all 4 groups of those people and sincerely mean it, then we're going to be pretty good. And today we are lucky enough to have the people that surround us and all 4 groups of those people that all we're trying to do is get better every single day. But let me go to Ashley. Ashley, introduce yourself for a second and tell us how a little bit about yourself, and so that our listeners that have never met you can hear what you do here and how you and Brian have been working together.
Yeah. So I'm Ashley Claunch. We have 2 Ashleys on our team, and I'm Ashley Claunch, and I've been with the company, like Kent said, for 12 years this year. And what we do and what our team does is we help investors to build their portfolios. And so as Brian kind of shared, he came in pretty well prepared. So he knew a lot about us. he definitely had his eyes fixed on the right things, because it was more about our processes, our systems, our service that we deliver to investors than specifically the properties. Now, we got to the properties later, but initially it really was, out of the gate when Brian and I connected, he really was so easy because Brian already knew he wanted to work with us as a company. And that was that really got us to step 2 pretty fast, because he had done his homework and due diligence, and he really appreciated the value that we brought as a company. And so once we got into the properties themselves, we moved pretty quickly. I believe, Brian, you got to the WOW group pretty fast. So
Yep.
the first 5 properties we moved pretty quickly and got those into his portfolio. And I know from my end, it was a great experience, of course, because again, he really valued what we were really good at. And that was handling the details, handling everything. Again, like I said, it was the systems, the processes, the team that we had in place, the experience that we had. And then the property just made those returns happen for him. And so we've had a good run, and it's been fast. I can't believe I looked in when they gave me the information and said 2019 is when you purchased. I was like, wow, that went by fast. I feel like it was just a few months ago, but 2019 was when we started building his portfolio.
Cyndy,
Yeah.
so I'm going to come back to Brian in just a second, get him to comment on what you said, Ashley. Cyndy, so tell us what you do for the company and how you and Brian have been working together, and how are we doing?
Well, I've been with the company just about 11 years now. I was a real estate agent prior, and when I came on to this company, I retired my license because I really didn't need it anymore. And so it was also when the downturn came, and so business was slow. Ken hired me on. He actually hired me, and I think Ashley did within like 2 days. Been here ever since, and traveling with the Clothe Your Family and all the different cities all over the country, introducing ourselves to everyone who may be a potential real estate investor or interested in it. Loved it, enjoyed it. Due to the COVID, we sure miss meeting our people, though. It was always great to go out and shake a hand with one of our investors. Brian and I have been working together, I think, from the get-go, if I do believe. Am I correct?
Yep, that's correct.
I thought so. And also I had some restaurant experience back in the day when I was much younger. Much younger. And, we had something in common there. We talked about things, especially during the COVID times. I try to keep him informed on all his properties, what's going on, especially during those trying times with COVID, making sure that properties and their rents were paid in, and just kept keeping him updated and getting to know him. And that's about the gist of it. That's what we do. And we want to reassure everybody that we know we've got you. We know what we're doing. We've done this for a long time. And, we're there for everyone, and want to reassure them that we know what we're doing and we can take care of you. So that's about what I do every day with all of my clients, as everybody else in the customer service department does.
Thank you, ma'am. Brian, how did you, when you were looking at real estate, how did you decide that Turnkey was where you want? I know you, after you looked at Turnkey, then you came to us, but how did you get to deciding that I'm not going to do this myself? I want to do Turnkey. I'm not going to do it in San Diego where you live. How did you decide that Turnkey was the space where you wanted to go?
Well, I work a lot and my job's pretty demanding, so I knew I wouldn't have time. I did have a little bit of experience with a out-of-state rental. I was living in San Jose, California back in right before the Great Recession. And right before the Great Recession hit, I was asked to transfer to Hawaii with my company. So I owned a condominium in San Jose that I was living in, and the recession had just hit, so it was impossible to sell the property. So I moved to Hawaii, and I found an amazing property manager in San Jose. I feel like I really lucked out, but he was a great resource. He took care of everything. He found great tenants. And especially during the Great Recession, that was not an easy find, I think, to find great tenants, at least in California. And he provided me with a great experience. So it really made me think, if I'm going to invest in real estate long term, which is what I still really wanted to do, I knew that I couldn't do it myself. And I also learned the value of a great, working with a great company, because this gentleman in San Jose was absolutely amazing. And so I realized Turnkey was really the way to go. And I realized it could be done because of my experience with him. I knew that he probably wasn't the only one out there, but it was probably going to be rare to find someone as good as him. But REI Nation has been as good, if not better, than the job that he did. So I really felt like Turnkey was the way to go. A lot of it has to do with, I just don't have time to manage properties myself, and I don't want to do it in California. It's just super expensive out here. So I knew that out-of-state investing was the way to go for me.
Well, Brian, you have houses in Memphis, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Oklahoma City. Have you seen it? Have you been to visit any of your houses?
I have not.
A lot of people,
Yeah.
even before COVID, probably 50% of our owners had never been to see their properties. And again, that's where our reputation, credibility, and integrity come in, because I spoke several times in Hawaii over the years, and we talked about we have a big group of over there, and I always talked about, when you go to bed at night, you put your head down on your pillow and you don't have to worry about it. We're 6,000 miles away, and we'll take care of this for you. And that's really what we really believe. And a lot of people find it, even though now during COVID, we've continued to sell the number of houses, and of course now hardly anybody has seen their house that's bought from us over the past year and a half. Would you agree with that, Ashley? Yeah.
Definitely
So,
within this past year and a half or so. I mean, we haven't had many come through, of course, with all the travel restrictions and things slowing down a bit, but that was pretty common for us, like you said, to begin with.
Brian, what advice would you give to somebody today that's listening, which would be some people on here that are on the fence, or thinking about buying their first house or second house, but man, I got to get on a plane. I got to go see that thing before I buy it. What advice would you give them 2 years in with us?
Trust that the company is as good as you've heard. Trust that REI Nation does an amazing job. Trust that it's a solid company. Trust that the people that work at the company really are investor focused, and trust that it really does work. And it is a little scary to invest out of state and not see properties, but sometimes you just have to trust that there are people out there that can do the job, that there are processes out there that work, and that there are systems out there that work, and to really know that it's true, and to do it, and to take that step. Because in any experience in life and any success in life, your first, it's all about action, taking that first step. So I say, take the leap. And I feel like, from my experience, I could probably say with pretty much certainty that you'll be successful.
Well, thank you. Ashley, when you first sit down with somebody like Brian and you set expectations and seeing if it's the right match for us, because we know that we're not for everybody, because we are process and results driven. We have processes and systems. Anytime you have the number of properties that we have, we can't be, just pulling out of our what every day. We got to have processes and systems. All right. And sometimes we find investors that they want to tell us how to interview a resident, and they want to approve every resident, and they want to do all of this stuff that just doesn't work for us, because that kind of gets in our way of what we're trying to do for the investor. And Ashley, how do you set expectations when you're doing that with when you first meet somebody like Brian, or whoever might be listening on the call that might come in to join us? How do you do that? Tell us how you do that.
Well, like Brian said, and I talked about earlier a little bit, of course, his mindset was already there, but really bringing investors back to that mindset of, not only what are we providing, but how are we providing that? And what are we good at? I mean, we have data coming out of our ears. As you know, you're the data manager, but we have so much data that we can share with investors, and we can show investors, and we can provide to investors, and really, we talked about the word trust earlier as well. We're not in the same location. We're not face to face. A lot of the time we're on the phone, over the computer with our investors. And so any way that we can help build that trust and get them to understand what we do, how we do it, why we do it, usually that's where it's the determining factor of, is this a right fit for me or is it not? And we do have investors, as you know, that we're not always the right fit for, because they're not willing to let go just quite yet of controlling every aspect of the process and understanding there's no need to recreate the wheel. And we get that and we understand that. Believe it or not, after working here 12 years, I've had many circle back. So once they, we'll decide that, hey, yeah, you want to be a little bit too involved, more than we're set up for, but then they'll experience some other things and then they'll come back around and they'll say, you know what, you were right. I don't need to recreate everything. I don't need to be in control of everything. But again, it just comes back to that trust factor. And once we've had a chance to prove ourselves, and like you said, Brian, prove our systems and processes and what a great team we have in place, and just where our interest is, that our investors are always on our mind, and taking care of them and taking care of the residents and taking care of everyone that helps this thing come together. Once they see that and experience that, that's when it's a game changer. That's when we get moved past that part and we build that portfolio out. And I have clients that have been around since day one for me. So 12 years now, and they've watched my children grow, and I've now in touch with them and their grandchildren and different things. So it overall is a great experience after we, get past that initial hesitancy sometimes with some investors.
Let me ask Cyndy. Cyndy, in the customer service side, when you first started talking to like Brian and you get him set up and you're setting expectations on what you're going to do to present excellent customer service, which is so important to us. How do you set that up when you first talk to Brian about what your role is going to be and how often you're going to talk to him, and that you're like the concierge for him to get him all the answers that he needs? And of course, my thing is that if Brian was to call in with a question, that I don't want to get back with Brian in 24 hours. I don't want to get back with Brian later today. I want to get back with Brian in like an hour or 2 hours and get the answer that they expect. That's the kind of company that we are, and we don't drag that out. How does that work, Cyndy? Maybe putting you on the spot there a little bit.
It's okay.
Tell me how that works.
It's okay. First, it's just me. So there's the greatness right there.
Obviously. Yes, you are.
Well said.
I've been doing this for so long, and in the customer service business since I pretty much started my career in just working. You always have to have the client happy, and you have to get to know them, and you have to know what you're doing. And also you have to have your backup, your team that can back you up, the systems that can back you up. So you have the right facts, you have the right information, you have it all at your fingertips, ready to help your investor with any questions they may have wherever the property is. And if I do not have that information, then I get it usually, I'm hoping within 24 hours or shorter. It just depends upon the situation. But it's a matter of them also believing in me, because I'm the one that's going to take over after Ashley does, and make sure that the day-to-day operations, weekly operations, and monthly operations of their particular portfolio are going well. Keep them informed, have them relaxed, reassure them that we're it, and we've got everything in place in order to do the best job possible for our investors.
Thank you. Brian, I just want to ask you, we know we do a lot of things right, and we're, again, so lucky to have the team that we have, but these ladies on here know, and the rest of our team, I'm always chasing what we can do better and chasing excellence every single day. And whether we're at 90%, 95%, 98% satisfaction, I'm looking for that 2 to 5% on what we can do better. What do you see in the 2 years that you've been with us that you think that we could do better as a company to serve you or other investors that may be considering us?
It's a hard question to ask or answer because there's so much good. But yeah, honestly, I mean, since you're asking if I had a wish list,
Sure.
yeah, I was thinking about this morning. I'm not sure why I was thinking about it, but if I could see, like, you have great end of the month reports, and if I had a wish list, it would be maybe something more in real time where I could see, like maybe there's a portal that says, okay, these are this tenant came in and this tenant paid the rent, or this tenant only paid so much and they're going to pay the rest at the end of the month or whatever. But if I could see the progress of the rental income or any expenses that I'm incurring in real time, that would be something that would be on my wish list. That way I don't have to. That way, if I have a question about, like, say the owner's, the deposit that goes into my bank account, when I get it, say mid-April or mid-May, I have to wait till the end of the month to see what breakdown of that was.
Sure.
Because sometimes there's expenses in there.
Well,
Maybe that's in the portal. I don't know that. Maybe it's already in there. I don't know it, but that's on my wish list.
In there, Ashley, is that correct?
It is.
Oh.
It's in the portal, and it usually, for just so people know, also our investors, any bill gets posted on a Tuesday. And you can see it through the portal. The portal has been updated a little bit, and it's a little bit difficult now. Well, it's different. It's not difficult. It's just different. And your information is there if you need it. The statement, yes, it's difficult to have it on real time because it changes. And so therefore the statement would be outdated within a week if something happened. And that's also why we don't do that anymore. We used to publish the statement from the time that you're first paid the month before until your payment this month. And people hated it because it was going from one month into the other and it got jumbled. So we're trying to please everybody, but there are little tricks of the trade. And Brian, you and I will chat about this, and hopefully we'll get some of it ironed out.
Well, I can say this, Brian, that we're in the process right now with Propertyware of making some upgrades to our system. And those will slowly be rolling out as we get into the later part of the spring here and early summer. And hopefully by July 1st, all these have been integrated in, because there's a lot of things that our owners have asked for. If they have multiple cities like you, they only want one portal, not 3 different portals to go into. So we're in the process of implementing a lot of changes in this department, and Nate is taking care of that. And hopefully we're going to have some announcements really, really soon on some efficiencies that make some of what you're talking about better than what we've been doing. And so we've recognized some things in the portals that we're trying to do better. So hopefully, and I really, really appreciate that. And getting into month reports in real time is a big deal. And again, getting that in real time and not 24 hours later or whatever the case may be, we just have to figure out how to do it better. And we're committed to do that. We spend a lot of money on technology, and we're going to spend a lot more money on technology to make the efficiencies in there that you as an owner need. So thank you for that suggestion. Anything else that we can do? And we'll wrap this up here in a couple of minutes.
No, honestly, the hardest question to answer is that question you constantly ask: what can you do better? Because you do so many things so well. It's really hard to answer that question. I always feel like I'm grasping for straws when I try to answer that for you, to be honest with you. So
well, we thank you. And
yeah.
Again, our team does such a great job of making us look good. We have a lot of, like Ashley said, we have a lot of data that we look at. We have a lot of process. We have a lot of meetings, because it's not easy managing 6,500 properties in 8 or 9 cities.
Yeah.
Because of the great people that we have and the processes and the systems that we do, we're able to manage it. And but again, we're on the way to 10,000 properties, and we have a target date of when that's going to happen. We'll go past 7,000 properties sometime this fall, and we're just on a mission to continue to grow the company. And what does your future look like with us with 6 properties that you have now? How do you see that looking at the end of this year or 2022? How do you see that looking?
Well, I do want to acquire some more properties. I'd like to get to 10. I'd probably say, that might take about 3 years. I just bought a property here in San Diego a rental property here. Spare the details, but that does take a lot of money to do.
Probably two or three times what these cost, right?
Yeah, I could have bought 2 or 3 properties with REI Nation with just the cost of the one here in San Diego. But so that set me back. So that set my plans back. I bought it for my in-laws basically, so they had a place to live. So but there was a good reason. But I definitely want to get to 10. So it might take another 18 months or so. But I do want to get some more properties for sure.
Well, I just want to thank you again for jumping on the call with us today. It would be our pleasure at your convenience to have you in to Memphis or Dallas to meet our great team, go through our offices. We have about 30 people that work in our Dallas office, located in South Lake, Texas, which is right just west of the Dallas, of the Metroplex, or of Dallas-Fort Worth. It's in the Metroplex. Then in our Germantown office here, which we've been here, we're lifetime or 25, 30-year Germantown residents. Our business has been in business almost 18 years. And we have about, between our property management office here, which is right across the street, and this office that we're in today, we have about probably 60 or 70 employees. We have a lot of our investors that come in to see us, to kick the tires, to meet the crew, to see the team. And it'd be our pleasure at your convenience to host you down and let you come see our team, and us have the opportunity to meet you also. So that invitation is always there. And we would hope that sometime in the future that you could come if you had any interest in that. So
I do. I'm just kind of waiting for COVID to fade away, and I definitely want to make that trip. So plus I want to see Memphis too, and to see you wonderful people. But I'd love to do that for sure.
Ashley and Cyndy, any final comments?
No, we'd love to have you, of course, and it's been just a joy and pleasure to work with you, Brian, and looking forward to the future.
Thank you. It's been great working with you too, Ashley.
Well, again,
it's been great.
A
little bit more, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Cyndy.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure to serve you. And again, we look forward to continue to serve you and create a great experience for you. And we appreciate all the comments today. And hopefully we continue to meet your expectations and the standards that we have, which are very, very high, that we want to perform for you every day. And again, on behalf of the Clothier family, we'd certainly like to have you down, and the REI Nation and PPMG team. It'd be our pleasure to have you in sometime. So you have a great day. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your time today, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me. It was really an honor to be here. I really appreciate it. It was great seeing all of you in video.
Pleasure to serve.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.